The government of Venezuela inaugurated the situational room for monitoring and supervision of the production plan of the mixed oil companies. Healthcare workers in Argentina have criticized the state of the healthcare system in the face of growing demand caused by government policies that have led to increased poverty and financial crisis. Doctors in Gaza reported that at least 4,588 people have been killed by Israel since March 18th. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The government of Venezuela inaugurated the situational room for monitoring and supervision of the production plan of the mixed oil companies. President Nicolás Maduro started the meeting by pointing out that the absolute independence production plan is aimed at the production of the whole country. He also emphasized that the sovereign production will be worked with own effort with an absolute independence. Among the authorities that participated in the video conference were the board of directors of the Venezuelan oil company PDVSA and the representatives of 7 companies affected by the unilateral coercive measures, as well as the Minister of Hydrocarbons and Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez.
Pero Venezuela no la va a detener nadie.
Nobody is going to stop Venezuela, nothing, nor any threats, nor any measures, nor even a license. Venezuela does not depend on licenses. Nobody has to give us a license to breathe, to live, to walk, to exist. Venezuela is free from licenses, free from threats, free from coercion. And freedom is achieved with creative, productive, and permanent work. Whoever wants to come from any part of the world to invest here knows it. It's increasingly known. You, Miss Vice President, Minister of Hydrocarbons, the President of PDVSA, Obregon, add us to the number of meetings that we hold every week. The international investors know very, very well that there are serious people here, people who keep their promises and people that also know how to work. And that we have a first-rate working class at a world level. That has been polishing itself, perfecting itself in its vision, in its work capacity. This is the greatest pride that our great hydrocarbon industry has today.
In this context, President Nicolás Maduro called on the country to produce in a sovereign manner with the Venezuelan people's own efforts.
As you know, our philosophy is very clear: sovereign production with our own effort. We have learned from the most difficult and crudest moments when the fascist far-right requested sanctions that fell like missiles on the Venezuelan hydrocarbon industry. And that experience has allowed us to be stronger from a technical point of view, from a labor point of view, from a scientific and management points of view in all fields, not only to sustain production with our own effort but to grow, which is the most important thing, to continue growing in a permanent and sustainable way with our own lungs and efforts.
In this regard, the Minister of Hydrocarbons and Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez pointed out that they continue following up on the plan for absolute productive independence.
As you have said, we are following up on the plan that you ordered of absolute productive independence, and with good news for the country, President, with a daily follow-up, and we are at this moment connected with 7 joint ventures that were affected by unilateral coercive measures. But as we have informed the country, the Venezuelan oil production plan of the Venezuelan hydrocarbon industry continues its course without any change whatsoever, just as you ordered, with our own effort, with our own initiative, with our own inventiveness, which is that of the workers of PDVSA.
In Canada, the first Vancouver Island Anti-Fascist Youth and Student Congress is underway at the University of Victoria, aligned with Venezuela's initiative to combat the global resurgence of fascism. The Congress will feature an array of community leaders and experts who will speak on panels discussing various expressions and aspects of fascism, ranging from militarism and war, Zionism, colonialism and neocolonialism to fascist ideology and more. The event will also feature greetings from anti-fascist youth and student organizations internationally. Also, the organizers additionally anticipated an address to the Congress by two sitting members of the Guatemala's indigenous Xinca Parliament who are visiting the University of Victoria the day of the event.
Low staffing, overcrowding, and lack of resources. Did you know it's not uncommon to be told you have 2 to 5 minutes to triage someone, and that's taking a blood pressure is responsible for 15 to 50 people in a wait room. Wait times stretch anywhere from 3 to 17 hours, and this is what I call the austerity of time, secondary to low staffing, overcrowding, and lack of
Healthcare workers in Argentina have criticized the state of the healthcare system in the face of growing demand caused by government policies that have led to increased poverty and financial crisis. This Friday, the Workers' Union will hold a congress in Buenos Aires to evaluate the deficiencies in the country's health system and agree on a plan of action for the sector. The meeting's slogan is "Health workers are standing up," and representatives will use it to denounce budget cuts to public health and the lack of supplies. Consequently, hundreds of medical centers are on the verge of closure, and prevention programs for the country's most vulnerable populations are under threat of possible dismantling. In Argentina, inflation closed at 4.23% at the end of May. According to a survey by the Finance Research Center, several households have reported a clear increase in the prices of basic necessities under Javier Milei's administration. Those surveyed estimate that the prices of these items are rising by more than 4% each month. A study by other consulting firms indicates that the increase in meat and vegetables accounts for almost 50% of the inflation in food and beverages in the last week of May. Overall, basic domestic wholesale prices increased by 2.8% in the same month. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Amidst the repression unleashed by the Panamanian executive in an attempt to contain the widespread protest across the country, the violent arrest of leaders continue. Indigenous leaders Lucrecia Caizamo and Enelda Salazar, who represent the Embera and Wounan collective lands, were violently detained by the National Border Service. The agency has also issued arrest warrants for Elibardo Membache and Isaías Caizamo, who joined the protest initiated on April 23rd by trade unions, students and various civil society organizations. The protests were held in rejection of Law 462 and in defense of water and rivers, as well as in opposition to the surrender of national sovereignty.
I want to express my feelings. I am not a criminal. They only have me here for defending my country, my rights, as an indigenous woman. We are fighting for our children, for the future of tomorrow, because we do not agree with Law 462.
With Brazil's National Racial Equality Conference less than 2 months away, municipal governments are rushing to make sure they can send delegates. From Brazil, our correspondent Brian Meir has more.
The Brazilian government has announced that the first national conference of racial equality in 6 years will take place in August. Like other conferences, including health, education, and cities, this requires a series of municipal and state councils to be established where delegates from social movements and unions are elected to participate nationally. With less than 2 months left, all three levels of government are working together to organize local councils.
We're here in Alagoas in the municipality of Unao dos Palmares to participate in the formation of the Municipal Racial Equality Council. It is an important process because we believe it's fundamental for strengthening democracy and promoting racial equality in Brazil.
This week, government representatives converged in União dos Palmares to inaugurate its council, which is symbolically important as the town sits on a location where during the 15 and 1600s, 30,000 formerly enslaved people, led by King Zumbi and Queen Dandara, created an independent nation of 10 towns and villages, which successfully resisted Portuguese aggression for over a century.
Today's visit to União dos Palmares was to inaugurate the Municipal Racial Equality Council. This is the state's third municipal council, and it's symbolically important because we are in the land of Zumbi. It's an area that is very important for Alagoas and for Brazil.
Zumbi's birthday is the most important national holiday for Brazil's black movements. The decision for three levels of government to converge in the county where he reigned is viewed as a strategic move to raise awareness for other municipal governments across Brazil to organize their racial equality councils.
For all the representation of this land, the cradle of freedom, the land of Zumbi and Dandara, who dedicated their whole lives to freedom and racial equality. The town of União dos Palmares will now continue this struggle more effectively. The establishment of our council today validates our history.
Since the national delegates will have a level of deliberative control over government policy, participation in the council system represents an important advance in democracy deepening. Brian Mir, teleSUR, União dos Palmares.
In other information, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel confirmed that energy recovery on the island is his top priority. During his podcast from the presidency, the Cuban president emphasized the importance of operating the national electric power system, given that the economy has ground to a halt. He also explained that demand had grown considerably in May compared to March in both the mornings and afternoons. Díaz-Canel dismissed false reports about the electricity situation, referring to the activation of 2 thermoelectric power plants for 18 months. The United States Supreme Court authorized the Donald Trump administration to revoke the humanitarian parole program to over 500,000 migrants. The measure affects migrants from countries such as Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Haiti who had obtained this special status to reside and work in the United States. The U.S. court ignored in its order the negative consequences that more than 500,000 people will have by abruptly ending the humanitarian program, affecting their lives and livelihoods. Concerning the court's order, President Donald Trump will seek to put an end to the massive arrival of immigrants who were able to enter the United States after applying from abroad. The Chinese government condemns the U.S. administration's intention to increase arms sales to Taiwan. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian urged the United States to respect and abide by the One China principle and stop generating tensions in the Taiwan Strait. Tensions between Beijing and Washington have increased following the elimination of visa requirements for Chinese students, as well as the latest tariff control measures against China. Recently, Beijing also expressed concern over the United States' decision to provide Taiwan with foreign financial aid, including military assistance. Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belosov reported Friday that the Ukrainian armed forces retreat from the village of Kondraskova in the Kharkov region after sustaining heavy losses. In a statement on Telegram, the top defense official congratulated the command and personnel of the 121st Motorized Rifle Regiment on liberating the settlement from the enemy. On the other hand, the head of the Russian administration of the Kharkov region, Vitaly Ganchev, indicated that the liberation of the area will give the Russian fighters an advantage over the Kyiv regime. At the same time, the Russian air defense forces have reportedly shot down Ukrainian aircraft, US-made guided aerial bombs, missile launchers, system shells and drones, and continue to advance with targets in the region of the special military operation. We have a second show break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final show break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South. Doctors in Gaza reported that at least 4,588 people have been killed by Israel since March 18th. The Ministry of Health detailed in a statement that the victims have been arriving at the only available hospital in Gaza since March 18th. During the last 24 hours, at least 72 people have died and 278 have been wounded by the continuous Zionist attacks of the Israeli army. The Zionist regime generated interruptions to the electricity supply in the desalination plant in Gaza. However, after international pressure, the blockade imposed since that date was reversed and a limited entry of humanitarian assistance was authorized. Given the situation in the Gaza Strip, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, urged immediate and unimpeded humanitarian access to the enclave. It stressed that the humanitarian needs in Gaza are enormous and growing, and called for urgent international action to open the border crossings and ensure a continuous and unimpeded flow of aid. In this way, the UNRWA revealed that its warehouse in Jordan contains enough aid to supply more than 200,000 people, all ready for immediate delivery and awaiting the lifting of the blockade by the Zionist forces. The Palestinian resistance has denied claims made by Western media outlets and U.S. government officials regarding an alleged agreement. According to them, the deal between Hamas and the White House envoy was altered to align with Zionism. Bassem Naim, a member of the Hamas Political Bureau, has confirmed that this new agreement represents the continuation of massacres and hunger. The proposal, which is still being analyzed by the group, represents a complete reversal of the discussions held with Stephen Witkoff at the beginning of the week. Naim asserts that the new document fails to address any of the fundamental demands of the Palestinian people. Nevertheless, he confirms that Hamas is reviewing this new plan with full national responsibility. On Thursday, the Yemeni army announced that it had launched a hypersonic missile attack on Israeli targets in the occupied Palestinian territories. They confirmed that the attack was directed at Lod Airport, also known as Ben Gurion Airport, in Tel Aviv. Following the attack, the airport suspended all flights. Yemeni forces confirmed that they would continue to fulfill their religious, moral and humanitarian duties towards the Palestinian people until the aggression ceased and the siege was lifted. This attack comes amid brutal Zionist aggression against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and follows an attack by genocidal forces on civilian property at the airport in Yemen. On Thursday, the government of Italy announced its willingness to take in the only surviving son of Dr. Alan Najjar, a Palestinian pediatrician who lost 9 children to Zionist attacks. The Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement expressing its commitment to transfer the 11-year-old boy, who is in serious condition in a hospital in Khan Yunis. The Italian authorities underlined their respect for the will of the child's mother and her relatives and assured that they will be closely monitoring the case, which has caused a profound impact around the world as it reflects the brutality of the war of extermination waged by Zionism against Palestinian women and children. is facing a continental cholera emergency with more than 127,000 cases of the infectious intestinal disease. The Public Health Agency of the African Union urged the increase in cholera cases, stating that there are about 127,409 confirmed cases and at least 2,597 deaths. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Africa are working to implement a response plan to deal with the emergency, which is equivalent to a 2% mortality rate, higher than those estimated by the United Nations. So far, several African countries have reported cases of cholera, such as the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Angola, and Sudan. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, has warned that sexual abuse is increasing in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. A report issued by the organization revealed that more than 67,000 cases of sexual violence were reported between January and April 2025. The OCHA indicated that 58% of cases received immediate medical attention within the critical 72-hour period. The agency noted that the majority of reported cases occurred in the eastern provinces, which were the most affected by the armed conflict between the military and the M23 rebels. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.